Today, I want to talk about, or at least start to talk about, a pretty massive subject in music, which is harmony. And it's a very large topic to cover, so this series is going to be a couple of parts at the very least. But I think that we should start somewhere. So I want to cover sort of introductory chord theory today, and really get you started on thinking about chords up to the ninth. So let's start with chords at their simplest. The simplest possible definition of a chord is 3 or more notes played at the same time, like this. There we go, that's a chord. And we have theories that tell us what chords sound good, and what all the different combinations of chords and alterations are, and what they're named and labeled as, and what their functions are within a composition. And these theories are really important, so even though there's a lot to learn, it's a really important thing to get into and to be aware of when making music or even just when playing music. So for traditional chords, let's start here. We stack in diatonic thirds. Diatonic means of the key. So if we give ourselves a key like C major, which is this, all white keys, and we start on C, then we stack diatonic thirds, let's say up to here. Then we're going to have 1, 3, 5, 7. Of course, we number these in relation to the first note, which is C, the root. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. And again, we stacked it in thirds, right? That's it. That's a C major 7 chord. And now, using that formula, we can make any major 7 chord. So if we did this in the key of D major, 1, 3, 5, 7, that's a D major 7 chord. E major 7, F major 7, etc. Now if we stack another third on top of that, on top of this 7th here, then we get a major 9, C major 9 chord. Now notice how simple this naming convention is. This is a C major 7 because it's made from C major, and there's a 7 on top. We stopped at the 7. If we stop at the 9, it's a C major 9 chord, because the root is C, the top note is 9, and it's a major tonality overall. That's really it. And now we can make any major 9 chord. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Now, notice this D on top. We call it a 9 because it's 9 notes away from the original root. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this interval is a major 9th. You could also call it a second because D is 1 note away from C. But when we're talking about chords, we tend to call it a 9 to be more accurate, because it is actually that distance away from the root. So that's something worth knowing. Now let's move into a different tonality entirely. Now that we've got the grasp of major 9 chords, what about minor 9? Minor 9 is literally the same formula. All we have to do is take a minor key and stack diatonically up to the 9. So let's do this with C minor, which is this. Using this key center, we stack diatonic thirds, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. And there we have it, that's C minor 9. That's it. Here's D minor 9. That's it. So using that formula, we can now play any minor 9 chord. And that's it. So now let's do one more. One more very common chord type is the dominant chord, or the dominant 7 or dominant 9, depending on how you play it. So it's the same formula, except instead of stacking it from the root, we stack it from the 5th note of the major scale. So say we use C major as an example, we would be stacking it from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the G, in the key of C. So we're staying diatonic to C, but we're starting on G. So let's try it. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. And there we go. That is a G dominant 9 chord, or a G9 chord. Simple as that. So now if you ever read C major 7, or C major 9, C minor 7, C minor 9, or G7, G9, you know what notes to play. If you want to get into how to play these more reasonably, more realistically, and how to voice them, like this, for example, this is another version of a C major 9 that you could play, or you could play something like this, or for G9, you could more accurately play something like this, which is a lot easier to play and, you know, perhaps makes a lot more sense. These are all voicings of these chords, which I actually have a video on that you can check out. I'll put the link in the description. But for now, I'm just looking at the notes themselves and how to create these chords theoretically. Okay, great. So we've got the foundations and we've got all of the major, minor, and dominant 9 chords. We know how to stack them, we know how to build them, we know what they're made of, and we understand them. There are, of course, variations and alterations that you can make to these chords that are pretty common and worth knowing about. For example, there are minor 7 flat 5 chords, which are sort of an alteration of the minor 7 or minor 9 chord. There are augmented or major 7 sharp 5. There's dominant 7 sharp 5. There's minor major 7. There's altered. There's diminished. All of these are different types of chords that come up, and many of them are just alterations of the foundations that we've just learned how to build. So I'm going to get into some of these now and some of these in later videos. But let's start with, for example, something made off of the major 9. So in this case, we have C major 9. If I want to make a major 9 sharp 5, take a guess at what we do. We just sharpen the 5. And notice it's the same foundation, the same construction, but now the 5th is sharpened. That's it. Now what if I wanted to make a dominant 7 sharp 5? So this would be C7 sharp 5. Well, we do, or C9 sharp 5 if we add the 9. So we take a C9, which is this, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, which we have because, remember, we're building off the 5th of a major scale. So in this case, C is the 5th of F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're in the key of F, building diatonic thirds. And that looks like this. Now, we alter it based on the chord symbol. So the chord symbol says C7 or C9 sharp 5. So we raise the 5th. There we go. That's all there is to it. Another very common alteration is to the minor chord, which would be C minor 9 flat 5. So again, it's the same formula. We take a C minor 9 and we just flatten the 5th. That's it. It's as simple as that. And that's a C minor 9 flat 5, also called C half diminished or called C split, all kinds of different names. The one that I like best is minor 9 flat 5 because it tells you exactly what the chord is. Same thing with C major 9 sharp 5. I like that naming convention. Some people will call this augmented because it's based on an augmented triad. I think that the best naming conventions are the ones that tell you exactly what's in the chord. All right, great. That's it. So let's review. Major 9 chords are built on diatonic thirds in a major key. So in the key of C, we start on C, and we build 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. C major 9. Minor 9 is built on a minor key in diatonic thirds. 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, 9. C minor 9. Dominant 9 is built on the 5th of a major key in diatonic thirds. So in the key of C, we build from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, G. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. G9. All right, that's it. We've done it. So now you can build up to the 9 with all of those chord symbols, and you can alter them in some ways too. So what I really want you to take away from this lesson is how to stack these chords and how to build them theoretically, and also how to read them and how to understand what notes are inside of them. So using that, you have the building tools to construct most harmony up to the 9th. So in my next lesson, what I'm going to try to cover is stacking from the 9th up to the 13th. So we'll be talking about sort of getting into upper structures, like this one, for example, or this one. And we'll be getting into the idea of playing around with those higher structures that occur above the 9th, and how the formula that we've learned today sort of breaks a little bit after we pass the 9th, but that's okay because there are all sorts of different rules that are pretty easy to follow once you get to know them. I also have a video, as I mentioned, on chord voicings, so if you want to learn how to voice these chords that you've learned today, go check that out. I'll put the link in the description. And I have another video out, if you're interested, on stacking even further up to the sharp 15, which is one of my favorite chords, the C major sharp 15. So if you want to check out how to build that, why it works, and how to use it practically, and how I very, very frequently use it, then go check that out. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. Make sure that you subscribe and stick around so that you're ready when part 2 comes out and I get into the really interesting, fun stuff. All right, see you next time. Thanks for watching.